Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I am Chris.
We're two Star Wars fans. We talk about Star Wars in my basement, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's nothing quippy about it this week.
Yeah,
I'm feeling very respectable about it this week.
You've hit all the basics.
Yeah. Also, hi, Bradley. I see that you're first to comment. Yeah. Welcome to our show. We're going to do Star Wars news, and we got a Star Wars story time today about Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, I'm very excited now.
And there'll be lots of whining.
As expected, whenever Anakin Skywalker is involved.
Whining and whinging, if you're English, like Bradley. So welcome to our show. First, we want to give a shout out and a thanks to our sponsor, the Star Wars Hub, who carries our podcast when they don't have to, and it's very kind of them.
They're very nice people.
Yeah, we're a very nice person. It's like one guy behind the whole thing, but he's a really cool guy.
But it's a hub.
Yeah, it is. It is a giant hub. They have like almost 400,000 followers or something. It's bigger than us. That's for damn sure.
Definitely.
And then right after this, we're gonna do our Battlefront stream as always. Chris and I will be playing with Gremlin Squad, and that'll be cool too. So make sure you join us. That'll be at 7:00 Central, just an hour from now. So we'll do this show, and then we'll turn around and do that show, and then everyone will be pissed at me for spamming our shows everywhere, and I won't give a fuck.
Maybe you'll be banned from more Facebook groups.
I've only been banned from one, and it was the Rose Tico Appreciation Group.
I didn't know if you wanted to name names.
Oh, I'm fuck the Rose Tico Appreciation Group on Facebook, and not because their mission isn't good.
Yeah.
I don't mind Rose as a character. I love Kelly Marie Tran. I think she's great. But yeah, they have like 300 members. No one posts anything. So like I post our live stream like once every day. So it's like I post once a day in this group, and their like admin was like, you need to stop spamming the thing. All our entire feed is just your live streams. It's like, well, you could post something too. Like, you have the power. So yeah, fuck those guys. Anyway, so what are we talking about first? Talk to me about Dr. Aphra.
Okay, so you kind of cut my legs out from under me because I was.
I stole your thunder.
Yeah, I had this intro.
We'll do it anyway. We'll just pretend like that didn't happen.
Tell
me about Dr. Aphra.
You know more about Star Wars comics than I do. Which
Marginally,
means
yeah.
That you have a little more context when I say that there's apparently a Dr. Aphra live-action series in development at Lucasfilm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard rumors.
Yes. And apparently, Chloe Bennett is in the running to play the title character of that series.
That makes sense.
Chloe Bennett, probably best known from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. That one Marvel property that Kevin Feige is like, that doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's the Marvel property that isn't actually part of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, they are. That was the Netflix had the rights to do that, right?
I think it was Fox.
Oh.
If I'm remembering right, it was Fox.
I thought it was Netflix. Wasn't it on Netflix? Or am I thinking of like one of the other Marvel Netflix things?
I think that was like Daredevil?
Maybe.
Or something like that. Anyway.
They all are not good. Yeah. Like they're all pretty bad. And so they're like, do we put this into the MCU? And of course the answer is no.
So
she'd be a better use in Star Wars.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Dr. Aphra is.
I don't. Like I know little bits and pieces. I know she's apparently an archaeologist or something.
She's Indiana Jones.
She hangs out with Darth Vader sometimes.
Yeah, and they have a weird really weird rapport with each other where like she'll openly make fun of him and he won't immediately kill her. But sometimes he'll try to kill her.
He's like, you know what? I like your moxie, kid.
Yeah.
I won't choke you to death today.
Yes, and she has these two droids that are terrifying.
That was like the one other thing I knew about her.
Yeah, 000, and I can't remember who the other one is. It's a protocol droid, a glossy jet black protocol droid, and this R2 or astromech droid. And they're like, both of their specialities is torturing people to get information from them.
Nice.
It's horrifying. Because the protocol droid's constantly joking about making people suffer. Like it's like he really enjoys doing it.
That's just how he gets off, man.
Yeah, and she just like hangs out with him, and she's bisexual.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat that's kind of being represented in the Star Wars universe. And she has dealings with Vader a few times. He uses her to find out some stuff about Luke after he figures out that whole thing happened. And yeah, her morality is a bit sketchy, and her allegiances are a bit sketchy, but she wouldn't necessarily say no to working for you, regardless of what side you're on. You could be the good guys, and she'd be like, okay, I'm just bored enough to do this.
So, if this show ever sees the light of day, it's presumably still in very early pre-production, and it's important to stress that Chloe Bennett has not been cast yet, because probably nobody's been cast for this show yet.
Yeah,
because it's very, very early. But like, we'll check in another 2 or 3 years when Disney either formally announces this or cancels it,
or first formally announces it and then cancels it,
or cancels it then uncancels it
and formally announces it.
Yeah,
yeah, they're shaking Kathleen Kennedy. You got to watch out for her. She's like that.
God.
So one of my favorite things to do is to watch Mark Hamill talk about Star Wars in interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is kind of cool. And I remember one of my favorite things that he does. First of all, he tells a story about how he does an amazing Harrison Ford impression.
I can believe it.
It's out of this world. It is it's more Harrison Ford, I think, than Harrison Ford is. It is really great. And he tells this story about how when they were shooting Empire Strikes Back, no one knew about the big reveal that Vader is Luke's father.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess George Lucas pulled him into an office with Lawrence Kasdan, and was the guy that wrote Empire Strikes Back. If you're not familiar with this, George Lucas did not write The Empire Strikes Back. That's why it's really good.
Yeah.
And so they pull him into an office and they say, okay, well, we're about to tell you, I know this, he knows this, and when I tell you, you'll be the third person. So if this gets out, we know it was you. And tells him the twist. And because I think in his script it said something about Obi-Wan was going to be the big bad, where Vader would say,
Obi-Wan killed your father.
Right. So the story goes with Mark Hamill is that they made it all the way to the premiere of Empire Strikes Back, and they're all sitting together, him, Carrie, and Harrison, watching Empire Strikes Back. And that big reveal comes, and like Harrison Ford is pissed because he didn't say anything about it. And if I can't do the impression like he can, but you should go check it out because he does it's an amazing Harrison Ford impression. I'm telling you all of this because as we know, David Prowse died a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there were two people that brought Darth Vader to life.
James Earl Jones did the voice.
Right, who's the voice, and then someone did the breathing, I'm sure, and then David Prowse, who was a bodybuilder, English bodybuilder, was in the suit.
Yeah.
And let me first say that they fucked him real hard in ridiculous ways.
I remember you telling me once that like they led him to believe that his voice would be Vader's voice, but his voice was actually like really high pitched and not very villainous.
It was goofy.
Yeah.
But he really thought that, and they brought James Earl Jones in kind of at the last minute and overdubbed it. But also they through some contract weirdness made it so that he only got paid if the film reported a profit. And what you might not know about most Hollywood movies is that they actually report losses on all of their movies. Because when you factor in like marketing, so if a film has a $300 million budget, they spent a rule of thumb, spent additional $300 million on marketing. So even though if they make a profit, they still report it as a loss.
Yeah.
And it was in his contract that he only got paid if the movies made a profit. Damn. And so to this day, even though the man is dead and buried, barely got a cent for his work on Star Wars.
That is fucked up.
It is so fucked up. But anyway, he died. And they're putting some of his belongings out there, for people to see. And it turns out that he saved his script for The Empire Strikes Back. And his script said something a little bit different than Luke's did about Obi-Wan killing his father.
Yeah.
So I think what they did was they made several different scripts That way, when it leaked, they knew who leaked it, and it doesn't really matter what it says. It's something about we'll rule the galaxy together, which is almost exactly what he says in the movie actually, but it's just in a different order. It's what he says isn't that important, but
it's actually kind of brilliant. It's the same that like modern shows and movies will do, where they'll film like 7 different endings, and no one knows what the real one is until it gets resolved in editing.
Yeah, well, now I think Star Wars projects do that because they want to know what will piss the fanboys off the least. They're like, we're gonna film every possible resolution of the story, and then we're gonna pick the one that will piss off the least amount of people. Mm-hmm. And then we had Rise of Skywalker. That's what gave birth to Rise of Skywalker. So his script was revealed, and it was kind of a neat thing.
Auction, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. And the reason I put this on a rundown was because David Prose gave as much life to Vader as James Earl Jones did. To the extent that in video games, modern video games, not like PlayStation video games, modern video games and Rogue One copied his movements while he was fighting because it was so Vader, the way that he moved and everything. And it's the script isn't so much important as it is to recognize how much of a gift he was to Star Wars, and that George Lucas is in this instance a huge fucking tool for letting this happen to him, and he should be ashamed of himself.
In lighter news,
let's do something more fun.
Remember Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you know how we have to put a video game when we fill out the stuff for our stream, and it makes us say what video game we're playing, even though we're not playing a video game right now. Yeah. Today I put Knights of the Old Republic.
Nice.
We're lying to the world.
But anyway,
I digress. Sorry.
In an interviewed podcast, I don't know, the source is MinMax.
Doesn't matter.
2 N's anyway. Video game journalist Jason Schreier went on there.
Oh, yeah.
And mentioned casually that there is a Knights of the Old Republic remake happening.
Yeah, which isn't that's not the news necessarily, right? If I remember it correctly, and I think we already commented on this a few months ago, was during an interview, or maybe he didn't say it was Knights of the Old Republic. Maybe he said we're developing a game that's super fucking awesome, and you'll never know who's. You'll never be able to guess who's developing it.
I can't remember that. It's apparently the remake is being done by Aspyr.
Yeah,
which is best known for doing some various ports, including the recent Republic Commando port,
which was really bad though, right?
I don't think the port was bad. I think you just don't like the game.
No, don't get me wrong. I don't like the game that much, but I like. Yeah, if other people enjoy it, it's whatever. I seem to remember reading that it was really buggy, like a mess.
That's unfortunate.
Hopefully they do.
Well, here's the thing I really want to stress. Jason Schreier, the source here, is like he's a long-time veteran in reporting on video games. He is a very credible source.
Right.
If he goes out and reports something, it's because he has sources that are telling him this, and that he has then gone out and independently verified with other sources. Also,
sources that are related in an appropriate way to the subject matter.
Yes, he is not going to make something up, especially with something that's as beloved as Knights of the Old Republic.
Right. Now, the sources could be making it up, but then he'd probably never use them again as sources.
It would take a coordinated campaign, because I imagine he heard it from one person, then talked to like 5
and confirmed
others.
Yeah. He's not a dumbass with a mask.
Exactly.
On a YouTube video.
A child in a mask.
Yeah. Talking about Kathleen Kennedy getting fired again this week or whatever.
The other thing I want to mention on this is that it's interesting that he specifically mentioned a remake, because that's kind of taken a different meaning in recent years. Mm-hmm. So there, on one end, you have the HD re-releases where like they take the textures and they make them look much prettier. They maybe do some things with the sound to make it sound better, and then you end up with basically the same game, just updated to look better on your 4K display.
Easier to play. Sometimes they'll tweak the controls,
And on the other end, you have something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is an entirely new game.
Now, I'm not a Final Fantasy fan, by the way, but I heard the contention about that.
It's different.
Yeah, I heard that it was very different.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So it's my question is, which end of the spectrum is Knights of the Old Republic remake going to fall on?
I think
like my instinct is that it'll be more of an HD remaster.
I don't know. I think that they're going to have to. So right now they're doing the High Republic stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and none of that has to do so far with what we know from Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
So they will have to find a way to build a foundation further back for the High Republic stuff, because old Knights of the Old Republic takes place like thousands of years.
4,000 years, I believe.
Which is ridiculous, first of all.
Like, that's the biggest problem. It makes the timeline so long that nothing means anything.
It's like in 4,000 years, you didn't update any of your ships. Everyone's still got the hyperdrive.
God, what was even happening in human history 4,000 years ago?
I think we were all...
Because I know there was some type of
prokaryotes.
civilization. I think there was like some early kingdom in Egypt.
Yeah.
Probably some stuff.
Well, yeah,
in
some
China.
Middle Eastern, where we all came from,
But
more
anyway,
or less. Yeah.
We digress.
Yeah. So, right, if we came a long way in 4,000 years.
Yeah.
We're still murdering people of color. We haven't figured that out yet, unfortunately. But I feel like in 4,000 years, the Star Wars universe would have... I mean, all the ships look exactly the same.
More or less, yeah.
And so, hopefully what happens... Now, the story in KOTOR is really cool.
Yeah.
And it has a huge reveal in the first one that is really awesome and everything. And
we also know from various things surrounding Rise of Skywalker that Darth Revan is canon.
Yeah.
Or some Darth Revan. It might not be
That
the
one.
Darth Revan
Yeah.
we're all familiar with.
Right. So I think that maybe it'll be a mix of both, where they tweak the story a little bit, keep all the really cool stuff and some of the favorite characters and stuff.
That could be neat.
Yeah. So we have some Obi-Wan Kenobi news.
Oh, good.
The part we all know already is that they're making a show
Mm-hmm.
that's eventually going to come out.
Someday, we think.
Who knows?
Unless it gets canceled again.
But apparently they've taken on Maya Erskine.
Mm-hmm.
From... What was she in? Insecure. Scoob! It's Scoob with a... with an exclamation point. So Deadline are reporting this, so it's on the spectrum of newsworthy trustworthiness.
More trustworthy than not.
Yeah, but don't believe anything in 2021, guys. Don't believe anything. So yeah, there's nothing really groundbreaking here to talk about.
I think I read something in that article that the show was going to have like 6 one-hour episodes or something like that.
So they'd be like the Falcon Winter Soldier kind of a thing. Good. Because let me tell you, 25-minute Mandalorian episodes, fuck that. Oh my God, it's like you get so excited. Mm-hmm. You get to the day, you turn it on, you watch the first scene and then it's over. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? And that I have been through my entire life watching hour-long shows, and then I get to like Game of Thrones, where they're an hour at least.
Yeah.
And then Netflix, where you binge shows that are all an hour a piece and blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden Mandalorian comes along, and it's like, no, you get 5 minutes and then we're done. And
see you next week.
Yeah, and they did the same thing with WandaVision, and it bothered, the pacing bothered me. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier comes along, and now they've got like 45 50
minute, yeah.
And the pacing, I feel, is better despite some of the story issues that weren't their fault. That's something else. But I like sitting down for 45 minutes watching a show, and actually seeing some story development. So I'm excited about that as well. So I think that wraps up our news.
Just about, yeah.
There's not a lot happening. I know that starting, what is it, next week? When does Bad Batch come out? It comes out on the 4th.
May 4th.
Yeah.
Which would be 2 weeks?
Yeah, so
It's 2 weeks from now.
in 2 weeks we'll have to add a segment to our show about Bad Batch because we'll be watching those and talking about them too. So that will hopefully there's some cool stuff that comes about from that. So do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's Star Wars story time.
Yeah.
So that was the good news. The bad news is that we've been doing all of the Vader comics, but we ran out of them.
Oh.
They're not done forever. It's just the next one hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, they need to make more Vader comics,
Right.
is what you're saying.
And I never thought that we would get enough of these recorded and out that we would ever run out of them before they put the next one out. But alas. So I had a little freak out, and I was like, well, what do I do? Because we could do the Star Wars, Operation Starlight line, which is, I couldn't remember where we were in that.
Yeah.
And there's so much that happens in that comic line. Like, it's very dense story-wise.
Yeah.
And we will visit it at some point. But we have something really cool today about Anakin Skywalker. So before we get into it, we want to thank our friend over at Star Wars Comics Story, who runs a cool YouTube channel with comics. Oh, they're usually the day that they're released. They're up in their entirety.
So like Wednesday afternoons.
Yeah. And you can read them with some cool Star Wars music, and that's really neat. And also to our editor Luca from Luxembourg, Lukenberg.
Luxa?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna message him and feel like your name's Alexa now. Sorry.
I don't make the rules.
Yeah, he's our editor. He's from Luxembourg. Does a really good job. He has a really good eye for like taking stuff that we say that isn't funny and then just making it funny, which is kind of cool. So make sure you thank those guys when you're watching these. So this one is, so you might remember a while ago we did a bunch of one-shot comics. They're like Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion.
Yep.
They centered on one character. They're one issue, and then it was over, right? So the one that we never got to, I'm sure there are other ones that we didn't get to, is about Anakin Skywalker.
Okay.
And I like Anakin Skywalker, for the most part.
He's an interesting character.
So this is Anakin Skywalker, The Sacrifice, Age of Rebellion. It's by Jody Houser, wrote it. Really neat. So I don't have to do previously on this one either. That's really nice. It's just like, it's a one-shot comic. It's
You
like,
say, hey, it's Clone Wars.
Exactly. The first thing on my notes right here, Clone Wars.
Okay.
They are in the Corvair sector, and so it's the Clone Wars. You have like Republic ships flying around, old Y-wing, like new Y-wing, like prototype Y-wings.
Yeah, and there's stupid droids everywhere.
Yeah, and clones and shit. And there's like a Y-wing pilot that's being chased down by a droid, and he's like, "Oh no, the droid's about to kill me. Whatever shall I do?" And Anakin's like, "Oh child,
Jedi out of nowhere."
Yeah, don't worry. And he's like, "Pew pew 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 pew," and he of course kills all of them because that's what Anakin does. And he's like, "Hey, thanks, General Skywalker. You're my favorite Jedi ever. It's great that we'll all be friends with a Jedi forever and ever and ever."
Yes, and nothing will ever change this state of affairs.
Yeah. So Anakin's like, "Okay, let's finish this battle up. You guys all start shooting. I'm gonna start shooting, and then it's just gonna be it'll be over." That's what happens. It's over. All the droids die.
Yay!
It was a simpler time, Chris. It was easy to kill things.
Yeah.
So like after all the droids die, one of the clones is like, "Damn, there are a lot of droids out here. What's up with that?" And Anakin's like, "I don't know." And so next scene is on the Resolute, which is Anakin's like
flagship,
Venator class Star Destroyer, and he's on the bridge with Admiral Yularen. And Anakin's like, "Damn, there was a lot of droids out there. What was the deal with that?" And Admiral Yularen was like, "Yeah, it turns out they came from a droid foundry that we didn't know existed on a planet called Kudo."
Ah, secret factory.
Yeah. And Anakin's like, "Okay, let's blow it up."
Well, that state of affairs clearly cannot be allowed to stand.
Yeah. We will not stand for this. Let's blow it up. And Yularen's like, "Sounds good. That's exactly what I was thinking. That's why you're my favorite Jedi. We'll all be friends forever and ever."
Nothing bad will ever happen.
Yeah. And so he like gives the plan to Anakin. He's like, "This is my plan." And Anakin's like,
"This plan's stupid. I'm just gonna go in and hit things with my lightsaber."
He was a little more nuanced than that, actually.
Oh,
I know.
really?
I was surprised
shocked.
too. Yeah. Anakin's like, I didn't.
Vader would have just gone in and hit things with his lightsaber.
Yes, he would have. so he's like, why am I looking at this report and it's talking about really high casualties, like human, like living casualties? And Yularen's like, well, so here's the thing. The droids aren't working the foundry. The natives from Kudos are working.
There's people down there.
Yeah, and I guess they're helping the separatists now, and they're most of the working force there. And he's like, and Anakin's like, we can't just go in there and kill living things like that. So let's do a 2-pronged attack so we can evacuate the natives. And Yularen's like, fuck the natives, we're killing everybody. And Anakin's like,
bitch, who's in charge here?
Well,
was it you or is it me?
That's
right, it's me.
Anakin just sulks off. Right. And so he's like walking down the hallway, cue some sad music. He's like looking out the viewports. Yeah, and he's like, man, Yularen didn't like my plan. This really sucks. Kicks an invisible rock. And he's like, my plan was really cool. Being a leader really sucks. I'm hungry. So the next scene is him in the mess hall with Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan's like, hey, how's the food? And he's like, it tastes like ass and I hate it. I hate everything. I hate you. I hate the Jedi.
I hate you.
Yeah, I just hate everything. And
especially hate that asshole Admiral Yularen.
Yeah. Yeah, and Obi-Wan's like, yeah, I heard about Yularen, so sorry about that. But he's right. Like, the natives aren't soldiers. Like, you're right there. But we got to protect the clones. They'll have our backs always, forever. Mm-hmm. And Anakin's like, that's not really what being a Jedi is about. And Obi-Wan's like, don't fucking talk to me about what being a Jedi is like.
To me about what being a Jedi is about.
Life's complicated. Calm the fuck down, Anakin.
You're not even a master. Come on.
Yeah. And Anakin's like, well, slaughtering people is wrong, even if it's not only the men, but the women and the children. And Obi-Wan's like,
that's oddly specific.
What the fuck are you talking about? And Anakin's like, nothing. Nothing.
Nothing ever happened on Tatooine.
And then this idea occurs to Anakin. He's like, wait, I'm a general. Like, I outrank Yularen. Yes. And Obi-Wan's like, no fucking shit. Why are we having this conversation? And so Anakin goes to Yularen and he's like, this is the plan. Fuck you. And Yularen's like, okay.
Guess you outrank me.
Can't wait to fucking kill you guys. All of you. Every
single one, including Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. And so Anakin gets in his ship. He approaches the planet Kudo. And he's thinking to himself, he's like, well, Yularen is pissed, but at least I won't be slaughtering people, and now I get to do what I want. And that's the best thing about being Anakin Skywalker, is that I get my way all the time.
Yeah.
And
he's the chosen one. He always gets to do whatever he wants.
So he pulls up to the droid foundry. And like nothing is really happening, right? And he's like, usually they start shooting at me by now.
Yeah, something's very strange.
Yeah,
here.
And I'm not really sure if this even was the plan, that he was like the 2-pronged thing, because he just flies down there by himself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's like, third plan, I'm gonna go down there by myself, whoop everyone's ass. Okay. And so he gets down there and he's like, R2, jam all the sensors. And R2's like, why? There's literally no one here. And Anakin's like, that's a little weird. So we're going to land. You stay with the ship and plot a course so we can get out of here really quick. And he's like, of course I got to stay with the fucking ship. Yeah. Every time.
I have jetpacks in my legs.
Did you not see?
I have this little arm that can shoot lightning bolts, and I have to stay in the ship. What the fuck?
Here in just a few months, I will douse a super battle droid with oil and burn him fucking alive. And you want me to stay with the ship and plot a course out.
I really wish we could understand R2-D2 in the movies.
Yeah. So Anakin starts exploring the foundry. Like, he gets in. There's really it's all empty. Yeah. And so he's like walking around the hallways, and he's like, wait a second, I should be hearing noises from all the machines and stuff. Yeah. And so he walks around a little bit, and he's like, oh wait, I sense something. I kind of hear something. So he runs off to this sound, and it's the natives working on all the droids. But he notices that they're not working for the Confederacy. They're slaves. And Anakin's like, those motherfuckers. And then flashes back to his mom and flashes back to being Anakin.
They pushed the slave button.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have did that.
Like, that's where you cue the fucking Kill Bill. Like, yeah. And so he jumps down and he's like, hello there. And they're like, that's not what you're supposed to say. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay.
General Skywalker.
Yeah. And the battle, because the battle droids are down there like guarding all the slaves,
Yeah.
and they're like, you're not supposed to be here. And he's like, yeah, just fuck off. And there are lots of flips. He kills a lot of droids with like Anakin stuff, you know. And all the slaves kind of look at him, and he's like, I am Anakin motherfucking Skywalker.
Come with me if you want to live.
You are all now free. And they're like, yeah, they gassed our village, and they just brought us here. And he's like, I already said you're free, so get out of here. And
that is not my problem.
Yeah, yeah, I do not care. And he's like, yeah, they forced us into labor. Now we're slaves. He's like,
well, now you're not slaves.
Yeah, that sucks. Here, take these guns, and let's go kill everybody, all the other battle droids.
Droids.
Yeah, the slaves are like, yay. Pew pew. And they go back. So this goes off without a hitch.
Yes.
There's barely any battle droids here. They kill whatever remaining battle droids.
There's only one comic book. They can't stretch.
Right, exactly. It's one issue. This thing cannot be that long. That's why I picked it. And so we're back on the Resolute, and Anakin was like, it was clearly a trap. And Obi-Wan was like, oh my fucking God, we would have destroyed that entire building, and it would have looked like it was our fault for killing all those slaves. And Yularen's like trying not to make eye contact with anybody, because it was his plan just to blow the whole thing up. And Anakin like looks at him. He's like, say it. And he's like, say what? He's like, just fucking say it. And Yularen's like,
you were right.
You're Anakin motherfucking Skywalker. And he's like, you're goddamn right. And that's the end of the issue. One issue, Anakin being like, suck the chosen dick. I was right. You were wrong. As in, what it is with every situation ever in Star Wars, I was the one that was right.
I'm Anakin Skywalker. I've literally never been wrong about anything ever. I always make the best decision in every situation.
Yeah.
There is, like, if you doubt me, you're just an idiot. Yeah. That's how it is.
Or dead.
Yeah.
I'll just kill you. Yeah, so I got to find... I know that more of these exist, because I think we did Kylo and...
Snoke. We did a bunch of them.
Yeah. There are a few that we did. There's a Yoda one that we haven't done yet.
I think we did.
We didn't, though.
I know we did something where he was like going through the swamp.
Yeah, that was back in the day when we were just prototyping this idea. And we recorded it, but it was like real shitty. Yeah. Like it sounded really bad. So anyway, let's talk about a new segment we're gonna do. Okay. That has a new name or an old name. Mm-hmm. But it has a new concept. This is a concept called "That's Not How the Force Works."
We're rebooting it because it's our channel. We can do what we want.
Yes,
but also we're small enough that we haven't attracted like a loyal following that's fanatically devoted to the name.
Yeah. So really, we owe you no explanation. So this is I got this idea. I scroll through Facebook a lot in different Star Wars groups.
As you do.
Yeah, and this podcast is shared in a lot of these groups. Mm-hmm. And I notice that people say some of the dumbest shit in comments.
Because they're people on the internet.
Yes, and either they will have this weird misconception in their head canon, and they'll just say something that's just demonstrably false, and just pretend like it's true, or they'll have like real weird ideas. And so I've started writing a few of them down, just so we could set the record straight, since we are the trusted Star Wars experts.
We are the experts.
Yeah, we're the only ones ever. And so if it feels a little bit like we're making fun of these people,
A, we are.
Yeah.
But B,
we're not going to say their names. So
we're just trying to set the record straight here.
Yeah, you'll never know. And a good example of this, we're not going to get like this is an easy one. Someone was like, well, why are there X-Wings and Y-Wings when those letters don't exist in Arabesh? And it's like, because
the characters themselves aren't speaking Arabesh, they're speaking English.
Yeah. Also, Arabesh didn't exist when the original trilogy came out.
Also true.
Star Wars is a fictional work of art that evolves over time. They added Arabesh later. I want it to be real too. It's not real, and asking these fucking questions, Jenny, or whatever her name was, breaks my disbelief, or suspends my disbelief. You know. So here's one that I got into a row. Yeah. And it was about the rule of two, and someone had asked, "Oh,
I think you did the wrong thing."
Yeah. Well, you ready to see the logo again?
I think we're
Logo. Okay. The topic was the rule of two.
Yes.
And how, well, if the rule of two existed, then why was there me?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it was like Dooku or someone else, or I can't remember what it was, but
it would have been like Dooku and Maul or something like that.
or I can't remember. And the original question wasn't important because in the comments someone said, well, the rule of two isn't a law. It's a rule that is often broken by the Sith.
It's a suggestion.
Yeah, which is false. And there's an important distinction here about the rule of two that you need to know. And I've got some of their counter arguments here that are also easily defeated. So if you don't know, the rule of two was introduced by Darth Bane. Mm-hmm. So pretty much you had
in the old canon.
Yeah,
at least.
yeah.
Who knows with the new stuff?
Well, it's still canon.
Yeah,
technically, because Yoda says in Phantom Menace, like there's only ever
two,
yeah.
But we just don't know if it was Darth Bane who came
right,
up with
yeah.
it. No.
So, like in the old canon, there were like a billion Sith, and because they're all evil motherfuckers, they're like constantly killing each other.
And eventually, Darth Bane was like, "Hey, this is stupid.
This is not productive, guys.
We can do way more if there's only two of us.
So I'm going to kill
that
all
any
of you.
backstabbing will be very limited
and done by me.
Yes.
So I'm going to kill all of you. Now you're dead.
And also, I'm going to take this small Jedi child who I will now raise as my apprentice.
Yeah, no one asks any no one asks any questions about it. Also, by the way he kills all the remaining Sith Masters is horrifying.
A thought bomb.
All of them are trapped in a state of eternal torture forever and ever and ever. Holy fuck.
Which is basically how the Sith do.
Yeah. No, that's their like they go big or go home. So thus was born the rule of two, right? The idea that
which is a neat dual meaning of the word there. It's both a rule that you follow and rule meaning to a ruler.
Yeah. Oh, that's a pretty good point. The idea being that you would have a master that would have the power, and then you would have a student that would constantly crave it. And the built-in idea was that the student would one day become more powerful than the master, and it would be his job to kill his master. And either he succeeds and then the weakness is gone and he's the new master, or he fails and the weakness is gone and the master finds a new apprentice, right? It's a very Darwinian kind of a thing.
And not only that, it involves a strange amount of selflessness on the part of the master, because they're training the person that they intend to have kill them.
Yeah.
Which is like not something you generally associate with the dark side, I think.
I wonder how many of them are like, oh, I'll always be the more powerful one. Oops, I taught them too much. I'm dead now. Yeah. So this went on for also only having two Sith is a good way to hide the entire Sith, because there are only two of you. You can just fuck off somewhere dark and no one will ever know you exist. And so for generations and generations, for millennia, in fact, I
think 2,000 years or something. It might have only been 1,000.
For over a millennia, I think is what Kiadi Mundi said. Yeah. And so they went through this vicious cycle. There are only two, blah, 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 right? And so I said, no, this is actually a really important part of Sith tradition, because it's a good way to quality control, and it's a good way for them to hide their numbers, because the second the Jedi find out about them, they're fucked, because it doesn't matter how powerful they are. Having 10,000 Jedi hunting you is not what you want if you're trying to do the whole galactic domination thing.
Unless you also have 10,000 Sith, which they don't.
Which doesn't work.
Because Darth Bane killed them all.
Yeah. And so the discussion turned to all of the exceptions in Legends and or canon that they didn't think that I already knew about. But I did.
Of course you did.
Because I had nothing else to do but read these fucking books. So the first thing was, well, in Plagueis, in the book Plagueis, Darth Tenebris had two apprentices. He had Plagueis and Venomous. And
very creative in his naming, wasn't
Oh yeah, well, it's a Sith thing. It's like Darth bad guy, pretty much is
Yeah.
what you should call him.
Darth puppy kicker.
Right. Sidious.
Yeah.
Savage Opress.
That is the best
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Plagueis. It's a plague on everything.
Darth
Anyway.
Maul.
Yeah, all of it sounds like, ooh, it's very scary. So, what this person meant was that in Plagueis, when Darth Tenebris, Plagueis' master, was teaching him, he used another person to manipulate Plagueis, more or less, by saying, well, I have this other student, and he's going to be better than you.
Yeah.
And knowing that he wasn't, and that it would motivate Plagueis,
Yeah.
and Plagueis would kill him. This is not breaking the rule of 2, because he was not actually training him as an earnest apprentice, and he knew that Plagueis was going to kill him. It was this really classic Sith master manipulation. That's like their big tool out of the tool bag, is to manipulate their students,
or just manipulate anyone.
right? And it went according to plan. Plagueis killed him, and so there. And then someone else said, well, what about Darth Maul? Because in the same book, when Palpatine was being trained by Plagueis, he was teaching Darth Maul. This was not violating the rule of 2, because Plagueis was not the established master.
Wait, hold on. So Plagueis had already killed Tenebris.
Yeah.
Which would make him the master.
Yes. He took an apprentice.
And Sidious was his student.
Yes.
So that's his apprentice.
Yes.
So you've got a master and an apprentice.
Yes.
And then your apprentice takes on a student.
Yes. This does not violate the rule of 2.
How so?
First of all, the apprentice does not have the established right to take apprentices. And
I suppose we should mention the distinction between a student, someone who you just teach things, and a capital A apprentice,
yes,
which is your successor who you entrust everything to.
Who gets a very important distinction, which is the word Darth in front of their name. That is when you are a Sith. When the established master says, you are my apprentice, you are the one apprentice.
I see.
That is it, right? Now, it was still brilliant on Palpatine's part, because his plan was, I'm going to kill Plagueis,
and
I'm going to be the master.
Yeah.
He's the only apprentice I'll take. We will still be doing the rule of 2. So it was more or less I'm going to keep you on standby, and when I do this thing, then we're going to be the 2, right? Still doesn't violate the rule of 2. Asajj Ventress, Dooku taking Asajj Ventress. This does not violate the rule of 2.
I don't think she was ever made a
No,
Sith.
she was not, and she didn't want to be. Oh, I should take that back. She probably actually really wanted to be. Dooku was such a, what's a good word? He was such a pompous fuck that Asajj Ventress would never rise to what he would consider to be a Sith, because of how lowly and powerless she was.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Compared to him,
She's just some primitive witch from the planet on the ass crack of nowhere.
Right.
Whereas he was a noble count of this planet.
Yes. And he also never planned to kill Sidious and take Asajj as his... She was just a tool.
Yeah.
Like an assassin. He's like, I'm going to teach you some cool lightsaber tricks.
And I want you to go kill people.
Yeah, and it kind of like how he did with General Grievous.
Yeah.
No one would say that General Grievous was his Sith apprentice.
Hey, General Grievous, what would happen if you split your arms apart and then went all twirly with these lightsabers?
Yeah, have you tried that?
And Grievous would be like, oh, yes, this is pretty cool.
I don't have any lightsabers. Where do I get the lightsabers? Oh, here's a box of lightsabers.
here's a bunch of dead Jedi's lightsabers.
Yeah.
Ooh, pretty.
So Asajj Ventress was never an apprentice. And then this person did this common thing during Facebook debates, especially in the Star Wars community. I don't understand this, where he was like, well, in Revenge of the Sith, Dooku's plan was to make an army of Sith, blah, 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 in the novelization of Episode 3. And my response was, well, first, no, I've read that book a lot, and I think that's a myth. I think you just made that up. And second, even if that had been his plan, he still wasn't breaking the rule too, because there were only 2 Sith at the time, right? Now, if he had gone through with that plan, if he hadn't been decapitated and gone through with that plan, then sure. And then I said, what page is that on, by the way? No answer.
Of course.
Yeah. So there's our little primer on the rule too. It's not a suggestion. It is an important part of Sith tradition, and it's the reason that they were able to survive for over a millennia without the Jedi finding out, because there are only 2 of them. It makes a lot of trillions of beings in the universe. Only 2 guys. That's easy to get lost. So let's go into our next segment called. What are we calling this one?
A galaxy even further away.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna stick with that?
I'm open to workshopping it.
Yeah, if you guys have a better idea for that, let us know. This is what used to be. That's not how the Force works, but so this is where we talk about stuff we're reading and watching that doesn't have to do with Star Wars, but that we like anyway, and that since you're here, we're gonna make you listen to it. So
should we start with Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, we should, because it's I like it. I like all of them.
Pretty sure the last episode's tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. I'm pretty excited about it. This one starts. Spoilers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, by the way. This starts off with Bucky and Sam just beating the fuck out of John Walker.
So something I didn't really get about the beginning of this and like the last sequence in the previous episode, they kept showing a trickle of blood running down John Walker's head. Was that meant to suggest that he had some sort of concussion or head injury that was
maybe
messing with his judgment, or was that part of like the cut pandemic plot line?
I don't think it had anything to do with the pandemic. It probably either was that he sustained some kind of head thing, or he just juiced up on super soldier serum. So it could be that. Maybe he just bleed from the ears. I don't know. Yeah. So John Walker's, or whatever, is his name John Walker? I think so. Yeah. He's like, you guys don't want to do this, and fucking
and they're like, yes we do.
Bucky, without dropping a beat, without missing a cue, like looks at the DJ and is like, we need some music for this.
Hit it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we're going to kick your ass. We've been waiting to do this for literally 4 episodes.
And then they do, because John Walker has a concussion and can't really fight back all that well.
Yeah. There were a couple of times, too, where you saw him come unhinged. And if it weren't for the other person, he probably would have bludgeoned them to death with the shield, just like he did in the episode before.
Yep. He manages to rip off Falcon's wings off his flight pack.
Which he was like, whatever. I'm done with that shit.
Care about that. But in the end, they walk away with a shield, and John Walker gets arrested or something.
Yeah. And he gets court-martialed. Yep. They're like, you're not Captain America anymore. He's like,
yes, I am. Yeah. They're like, no.
I am this Captain America.
I am Captain America.
Yeah. And so he gets out of that hearing, and
Julia Dreyfus is
from Seinfeld. It just comes up and
like
starts,
Elaine is like, what's the deal?
And just starts talking and like not letting them have a chance to respond.
Like John Walker and his wife are both like, what the fuck? Who are you?
His wife is like, she's talking so fast. And like she hands her the business card that doesn't say anything on it.
On here.
She's so crazy.
Are you psychotic?
Yeah. So basically, she's like, "Look, I know you took the super soldier serum. I know that I know you have the shield, or they don't know that you don't have the shield, and maybe we can be friends later on. Call me on that business card." And he's like, "There's nothing on it." She's like, "Don't worry about it," and his like disappears behind some like smoke and mirrors, like ooh, and just like disappears, and it's fucking hilarious. And she's amazing, and I know that she's like a mashup of a couple of comic book characters. One of them was like a shield agent that for like an issue one is Madam Hydra or something. Okay. And I can't remember what the other one is. I think the big standout thing in this episode though was what is his name?
I know who you're talking about, the black super soldier.
Yeah, what was his name though? Isaacs or Isaiah.
Isaiah. Yeah, that's his name.
Isaiah Bradley. Sorry.
Okay,
yeah.
There we go.
Has a talk with Sam about all the terrible shit America did to him when he was basically Captain America. He's doing all the same shit that Captain America was doing. Even this one particular moment where he went to save POWs, which Steve does in the first Avenger, and is welcomed home with a parade and medals. And Isaiah Bradley is thanked with 30 years of experimentation. And the whole thing has this really raw, uncomfortable racial undertone to it. And the reason it's so raw and uncomfortable is because that's shit that we know is happening in the real world. And it makes you feel gross.
It is about as subtle as a brick to the head.
Yeah. Which, this stuff, like, you can't be that, you might as well just hit people with bricks about it, Yeah. And that whole conversation was just like, it's one of those things where like you'll never really understand, like you and I will never understand. I'm gay, and I dealt with some shit when I was in high school and stuff, but it was nothing compared to what being a person of color is like. It's just not. And if you don't think so, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't think there's not much to talk about.
Yeah.
You're wrong. Sorry. And that entire scene was just like a kick in the chest. And it was, the way that it was shot was, it was intimate, and the acting was really good. And you saw this moment where Sam like starts thinking about the work that he's done, and how you just see this thing snap in him where he's like, I've got to do something different. And some terrorist stuff happens.
Yeah. Carly's attacking totally not the UN, except it's kind of the UN.
Yeah. They're going to vote on something.
Yeah. Carly's like, fuck no, you're not.
Yeah, they're trying to stop this vote. And then at the end, Bucky and Sam, their bromance starts. Yeah. Well, actually, so apparently Bucky wants to fuck Sam's sister real hard because he's like into that. And he goes and stays a bit with Sam. And they work on his boat a little bit, and they kind of become friends. They have the shield because they fucking stole it.
This is the other thing. Like, their last conversation before Bucky leaves, it is also about as subtle as a brick. And it's like, okay, you're saying all these things, and like, what would normally be subtext was just text in that conversation. And it kind of pulled me out of it a little bit.
I allow them to. People are stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I read fine literature. We just got
done with a segment precisely about people being stupid.
Yeah. So, it's like they need to get the message across to some people, or they're sitting there like, oh, I don't get it. So that's fine.
I did enjoy Sam's training montage.
That was cool.
Yeah.
He had some pretty cool shit happening that entire time.
He's doing some flips and catching the shield and rebounds.
And Bucky is, God, I love Sebastian Stan so much. Like, in a lot of different ways. That man is very handsome. At the end of this, Bucky walks up to Sam with this case, and he's like, I'm like the White Wolf from Wakanda. Like, we're buddies. And Sam's like, okay. And he's like, well, here, I got you this from Wakanda. And they do the thing where he opens it and looks at it, but you don't get to see what's in it, because that's for the next episode. And
there was a post-credits scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where John Walker's in the metal shop, very clearly working on
spot welding a shield.
Yeah, which is a really kind of dumb idea, because
that shit's not vibranium. No, it's, what do you think's going to happen to that fucking shield? Like, so
the first super soldier who punches it is going
to the spot welds are going to break, and it's like, oh well, there goes my fucking shield. The thing I did appreciate was that he was like welding on his medals of honor, which made me sympathize a little bit for his character, because he's only doing what he was told to do. And my brother died in Iraq. My entire family is affiliated in some way to military or police. Like, I get it. Like, if you sign up for that life, that's something that comes along with it, is that you do what you're told. And there are reasons why, because if you question orders, someone could die or whatever. So I can imagine, like if my brother had gone over and killed a bunch of people in Iraq and came back, and they were like, well, you're going to jail now, or you can't be Captain America anymore. His first thought would be like, I was doing my job. I did exactly which is more or less what he said during the congressional hearing. Is like, I was doing what you guys told me to do.
The entire time, from the time I enlisted to the day, like, till yesterday.
Till I fucking snapped.
I was just doing what you told me.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be a pretty neat thing.
Last thing, what's her name in Madripoor?
Sharon Carter.
Yeah, she's definitely the power broker, right?
No.
I
also don't know if that's her name. I said that name and I was like, is that her name?
Whatever her name is.
They keep referring to the power broker as a man.
That's easily obfuscated. I mean, if you're a woman, you're actually the power broker. Why wouldn't you want people to think the power broker is a man?
But why would she just be like, see, I know what your response to that's going to be. And it's not even a bad response. I don't think she is. I think it's someone else. I think
it has to be either her or Julia Dreyfus.
No, I don't think she is either. I think it's
comedy option is that Zemo.
No, I miss Zemo already.
Yeah.
No, it's one of the generals, I think, because that's who it was in the comics. It was one of the guys that's been in the movies. I can't if it's the general guy from Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. I can't remember.
That'd be a bit of a deep cut.
Yeah, but anyway.
We gotta get out of here.
That's going to be in the bit. Let me check in with everybody here. Max Bailey says, "I fight people." Hey, what do you know about Disney's new lightsabers? I know it's a little off topic.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, it's it looks like it's more or less a tape measure.
I mean, maybe it'll work out and they'll have something cool that we can smack each other with.
Yeah. Jar Jar Binks is Darth Plagueis. I read of the Lost Tribe of the Sith in the novels. Well, the Sith as a race and the Sith as a dark side wielding organization are two different things too.
Also, what time, like when in the timeline did that novel take place? Because if it was before the Battle of Rusan, then the Rule of Two did not exist yet.
Right. Yeah. I still haven't even read any of the High Republic stuff. I have the books. Just haven't listened to them yet. Yeah, I read Into the Dark and Into the Light, and they're both pretty solid. All these are. This would make more sense if I remembered what I was saying at the time.
Yeah,
I appreciate that you commented though. So anyway, we're gonna start up our Battlefront stream here in a bit. So stick around. We'll be going live here again. It'll be a separate stream.